Coming up.
Myself, I am a survivor, right, of rape, childhood rape.
What age were you? Age 9. Oh my gosh. Oh my, I'm so sorry. This week on the Trailblazers, we have a special Mother's Day story. It's a story of a young woman, Rushell Gray. At 9 years old, she was raped. At 14 years old, she became pregnant. But despite all of that, Rushell has managed not only to survive, but to thrive, and is now positively impacting lives through her work with E4Life and helping other women in similar situations. I'm encouraging you to watch this episode. It promises not only to be eye-opening, but also therapeutic for others who are going through similar situations. Stay tuned.
Special thanks to our sponsors, Stars Publicity, for all your PR and publicity needs. Get noticed and align with the stars. DG's Health and Wellness Center for weight loss, weight gain, and other healthy lifestyle needs. Book a consultation today. And Kaoris Beauty for all your skincare needs, including the best products to fight acne and more. Get 5% off all purchases using the discount code TAMARA5OFF. More details on all these packages listed in the YouTube description.
What's your word to them?
I would say to fight. Fight for your dreams. Fight for your purpose.
Life that inspires you, that motive that you aspire to be.
Really meaningful and critical. It's not a waste time movement here, man.
In my humble opinion, is become very comfortable with yourself.
Very important. You know, the saying in Jamaica, one hand can't clap.
You forgive yourself for allowing people to mistreat you.
Disciplines that we need to embody.
You just have to work at it and be committed to everyone.
And scary to have all of that fall away from you. And you have to celebrate those wins. Work with fitness clients.
For guidance, rely on Christ for support.
And no rush. I did it. I made my move into entrepreneurship at 40.
So scared that when...
What, last comments would you want to share with
you? You have your core values, you do the right things, it'll fall in place for you.
Rushell Gray, a regional officer with the non-governmental organization E4Life, had a traumatic childhood after being raped at the age of 9 by a close family member. She later became pregnant at the age of 14. This survivor, now in her late 20s, is thriving and is coaching other young women on the path to healing. She tells us more in this another riveting episode of the Trailblazers.
Hi Rushell, it is a pleasure to have you on the Trailblazers, and it is a delight for me because this is a Mother's Day special feature and I'm interested to hear your story as a teenage mom, so welcome.
Thank you very much, Tamara. Thank you for having me.
Okay, awesome. All right, so I want you to tell me your story. I understand that, I said teenage mom, a former teenage mom. But I understand that you got pregnant at 14 years old and went through a bit of ordeal. So share with us.
All right. So I got pregnant at age 14. Had my first child at 15. At that time, it wasn't an easy, like 1, 2, 3, and that's it. Of course, my family was disappointed. More so my father, who he didn't speak to me for about 2 years, thereabout. My stepmother was the one who I could go to her, ask her any questions. She was in support of me, just supporting me. My mother was there as well. She didn't put me out, but she was supportive. She cursed, but going to the women's center, then going back to high school, as I said, it wasn't easy, especially after I gave birth. Persons will rally around you while you're pregnant, given that you're young. They might give you some baby clothes. At that time, I didn't have to buy anything. Believe that the only thing I bought was about maybe diaper, because every single day my mother went out, somebody was there giving her stuff. I had too much stuff that I started to give away. So the more stuff I gave away, is like the more came back. I went to school, just do what I have to do, just knowing that, hey, this happened, but I just have to pull through. So it wasn't easy, given that persons will see you on the road and they'll discriminate against you because they're going to say, oh, you're bad because you're bad, make this happen to you. And, you know, whenever the Senegal school, you go take man, those things that people normally say because they don't know your situation.
Okay, Rushell, so just to be clear, the person who you got pregnant for was your boyfriend at the time?
Yes, he was my boyfriend at the time.
Okay. And you mentioned that there was a lot of stigma from people who they didn't understand the situation, they didn't know your story. So tell us your story then. What was the situation?
The situation in terms of not having any, what do you call it, any guidance, any involvement in terms of, as a child, I was really on my own, if you want to say that. My mother, when I got pregnant, I normally speak about it, my mother was not in Montego Bay. She wanted to be her, she wanted to feel free, not to be bondage. So I believe she was doing self-care, she says, in another parish, maybe about 2-3 hours outside of Montego Bay. So yeah, getting pregnant, going back to school, I said, all right, it's not the end, I just have to pull through. Going back to school now, getting the chance, I said, all right, fine, I'll just not blow it this time. So everybody's on you not to get pregnant again, because them said the first child, a buck up and what have you. So I try to keep my head held high to say, I want to leave school without another child. I want to be able to take care of myself and my child, stuff like that. But financially, it was struggling. It was challenging because at the time, my baby father were the same age, and his mother, who she was kind of have a tug and war to say if the child was her son's. And she was saying that she wanted him to go back to school as well. So I remember he was doing something, he was working while I was pregnant to try to help me out. But then the mother was adamant that he needs to go back to school. And she can pitch in from time to time, but that wasn't the case. Well, when I started going back to school, there are times when I just had to stop. I couldn't go to school that day because I would get the child ready. Thankfully, my daughter at the time, she would sleep through the night. You know, normally you have baby waking up hours in the night to give them tea, stuff like that. She would sleep right through the night until about 6 o'clock, 5:36. I know that time we get up, I would have to be preparing myself for school, getting her ready, and I would take her to her father's house. Normally he would be in the house not answering. His father would be there not answering. So nobody would come to my aid to say, hey, she needs to go to school. And hence I just went home.
All right, Rushell, so to be clear, so you were saying that when you were going through all of that at 14 years old, having your first child so young, and you didn't have much support.
Yes, I didn't.
So how did you manage? Like, how did you cope? I mean, you're still a baby.
I know. Just God himself, the creator. You know, when you trust in something, you just have to just go through. Even though I didn't have a lot of support, I normally use person's experience around me and just take from that. So I may see somebody else who may have gotten pregnant as well, and I may take the positive out of their experience. And so that's who I am, and that's how I strive for excellence. So during that time, I just see other persons around me. You may have persons who come to my school and may give motivational talks as to where they're at now, how they got there, you know, stuff like that, and what I always want for myself. So that just that was what kept me going. Just remembering where I'm going and what I need to do in order for my child not to be in the same situation in the next couple of years as myself.
Definitely, that is so true. So one of the things I like that you mentioned is that, going through the pregnancy, you had to drop out of high school, but then you were able to go back and you went to the Women's Center. And for viewers who may not know, the Women's Center assists teenage girls who are pregnant to continue their studies. So tell us, what was that experience like for you?
The experience, I was there, but I wasn't there. I don't know how to put it. As I said, I was there, but I wasn't there. You could call it, I don't know. I just know I go to school and you go because they say this is another opportunity for you, not being out of school, but another chance to say you're being taught something, so your brain maybe not go empty or blank until you're ready. But I was just there, so that was it.
So you were pretty much just kind of going through the motions.
Yeah, I mean, you going to school. We don't normally sit and ask persons how things are going at home. We look at it and think persons are okay. I guess maybe if somebody had intervened and asked and stuff as to my social background and what was happening, maybe I could have opened up and say, hey, this is what is happening, I'm struggling. I don't have full support, but that was not the case. The case was that you're supposed to come to this institution, and I'm not bashing anybody, I'm just being frank. You come to this institution, this is a chance for you, I'm trying to just be, this is a chance for you. So just make the best of it and then you can move on. It doesn't feel as if you're welcome. For me, it wasn't that feeling. You're just you're put into a space and you should just adjust to that space until your time comes for you to get another chance to go to another high school. That was the feeling I got.
Yes, I know. And it's unfortunate though that, as you mentioned, that sometimes the persons who are in charge of that, they may not have as much empathy, so it's a sad reality. All right, but
yes.
I like the fact though that despite all of that, you still, you push through. And, I also wanted to touch on the point where you said though that this happened to you because there was not much love for you really at home, or you didn't really feel wanted in a sense?
There was a lot of stuff happening, but it was more of my mother thinking that it wasn't her duty at that time to really step in and give me the support as a child. Because I remember some time ago I was asked, as a girl child, what age? So normally as when you reach high school, or you're bursting breasts, whatever, parents think that you're on your own. And it's not the case. That shouldn't be the case. You're responsible for that child until,
Yes.
But we are not practicing that. And so that was my situation. Because once I started high school, I said, okay, our grade 9, I remember having the conversation like yesterday, where my mother and I, you may say an argument, but I don't think it was an argument. I think it was just a child being honest to a parent. Because she was saying, at times you can go look for it. No, I'm not like, I'm in grade 9. If you knew you couldn't take care of me, why did you bother to have me? Yes. And she got upset, and because maybe to her I was being rude, but I was thinking like, you should be able to take care of me. I shouldn't be have to bother with that, to stress on thinking about school and to think about to finance myself,
Yes.
But she wasn't around, and I believe she's not here to speak to her because she died. I believe, given the fact that, thank you. Given the fact that maybe she didn't have a mother support, she didn't know how to really do the same thing for me.
Yes.
But at some point, somebody have to take on that mantra and to say, look, it ends with me, and so hence it ends with me, you know. So yes.
All right, so I really like that point where you mentioned that, you know, it ends with me. And by the way, my condolences on the passing of your mom. So what community, by the way, because we didn't even touch that, what community were you living in at that time?
So I was living in the community of Salt Spring, Montego Bay, Pleasant View to be exact.
Salt Spring?
Pleasant View, Salt Spring, Montego Bay, yes.
Okay. And Salt Spring is more like an inner city community. Is it?
Yes, you could. Yes.
You would consider that?
To some extent, yes, yes. Because you have violence, crime, yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, why I asked that, you know, because I was just trying to put things into context. So now you pretty much are on your own, just at the age of 14, having this child, and then all around you, the violence, as you mentioned, is happening as well.
Yeah. Yes. It wasn't easy. As I said, it's just the creator himself and the mindset that I had as an individual.
Okay.
You know, is really what you want. I've seen persons sitting, maybe you're having a one baby and you maybe have 2, 3, 4. I did not want that for myself. I didn't want it. I believe you should have a children or a child based on how you can afford a child and how much attention you can give to that child. Because my mother had 4 of us, and I was lacking a lot of attention as I'm the first child. And so I did not want to continue on that path. So,
yes.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that you are able to, you know, kind of open up and share. And the beauty of it is that, you know, you are now in a position where you can give that love and give that attention to your child, well, children, because you are the mother of 2 now. Congratulations, by the way. And so looking at the current realities, because I know that you currently work with E for Life. That's an organization that I actually love, because I've actually done stuff with E for Life in the past and continue to contribute, because they help a lot of teenage moms and young girls who are going through all different kind of issues. So tell us about that. Tell us, was it because of your experience why you ended up in that line of work, and tell us what you do.
Okay, so it was based on my experience that I became a client of E for Life in 2012. I was referred by one of my mom's friend who, she was a nurse at the time. So I came into the organization as a client. You know, as a client, you came in with low self-esteem. You're young, you don't know much about parenting, stuff like that. So you coming into the organization doing life skills sessions where you're at a space where you're being empowered, you know, doing self-growth. There are a lot of sessions that I was involved in that helps me on the path I am today. So within a year, I grew in becoming a mentor. What a mentor is, like a big sister who looks out for the younger girls, holding their hand to say, look, I went through it too, and so these are the steps that I took, and got over it, and then moved on to becoming a life coach. A life coach is someone who is a more, mature woman who can, you know, give you more advice, stuff like that. Then from that, the journey, from the life coach to being the region officer, and what the region officer, my work entails in, I continue to do mentorship. So even though I supervise a team of 8 persons within the Western region, I do mentorship because it's my passion. And mentorship for me, just seeing the smile on someone's face and to say, Miss, I thank you very much, because if it wasn't for you, somebody just checking in with you and say, Miss, you're always calling me, so I just calling on you to see how you're doing. That for me, it's a lot. It does a lot to you. Physically, mentally, you know, because at least, you know, you're giving back what and you're getting, because you may be down, I may be feeling down, and somebody just say, hey, Auntie Rushell, how are you doing today? I said, you know, to be honest, I'm not well. And they said, what does that mean? You need to get some rest, you know, stuff like that, because you'd be there for them as well. So yeah, doing individual. So for each client, what I do with them is you have there's an individual service plan that we do with these ladies. So we set goals with them. It can be short-term goals, long-term goals, you name it. Getting them on path, getting an ID, getting a TRN, you name it. Going to the clinics with them, seeing to it that they're keeping their appointments, because some of them are infected with HIV. They're adhering to their medication, getting them on family planning, due to the fact that you don't want them to have unplanned pregnancy, to, you know, getting them, even assisting them in writing a resume and application letter, sharing job vacancies with them, assisting them in getting a skill, so stuff like that we do. We have counselors on board and counseling was played a great part of my process in getting here today. And so I'm able to say, look, I was a teenage mother. I am now engaged. I am now doing this in my life, you know. So yeah.
Awesome, Rushell. Very awesome. So I like the fact that you mentioned now you are engaged, you're in a stable place, and you know you're just looking to just continue to grow. I was really looking forward to hearing your story and also being able to share it, because my mom also was a teenage mom. She had her first child at 16 years old. That's my older sister.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like it's important to hear the stories, right? I want you to share, because you mentioned the stigma that you experienced at 14 years old and how that had affected you, but at the same time, people not knowing your situation. So for others who are looking on, you know, especially the young girls, the teenage moms who are maybe even watching this program, what would you want to say to them? And also, what would you want to say to others who sometimes look on with dismay and don't understand the situation?
You know, before I go to that, I would like to encourage persons to, as parents, we are supposed to sit with our children and teach them about sex. It doesn't mean that they're going to have sex, but prepare them. This conversation is very important. Teach them about the sexually transmitted infections. Teach them about condoms, the usage of condoms, how they are used. Well, some of us as adults, we're not comfortable with talking about sex, hence why we're still battling with teenage pregnancies. Because people still maybe believe that they can't have sex one time and get pregnant. Or if you withdraw, you cannot get pregnant. So these are some, if we are doing what we are supposed to do as parents, some of these things can be avoided. They are contraceptive. Teach our young children about these things. Take the time out to even teach them to put on a condom and say, look, I don't expect you to do these things now, but I want you as an adult, when you grow up, you should be able to can negotiate condom use, right? Stop telling them about, oh, sex is this, and give them all the unpleasant things about sex, because it's enjoyable. And as children, you may want to go and explore. And if we do tell them, they're going to try it, until we can be honest to our children and say, this is it. This is the reality of life. Not because you get pregnant for this man means that you want him going married and he's going to be your Prince Charming and you're going to ride through the chariot and all these things. Be honest. We are having relationship issues. These are, you know, those things are that we miss out to our children in just being honest. Maybe you never work out, but we hide in these things, and then we children go and find it out for themselves, and then we go ahead and bash them, and they don't have any guidance.
Yes.
You cannot leave it up to the schools to teach your child or children about sex education, because they're not going to teach your child how you would want it. You having a child at home, you know the capacity your child is at, the level that child is at, so you know where you should guide them. So for me, and I'm speaking from experience, that I teach my child these things because I didn't have this information.
Wow.
So I remember a man was upset with me because my daughter was about 4 when she knew about condoms, 5 thereabout, and we had the conversation based on her level of maturity and the questions that was being asked. I started the conversation, right? In terms of the message for other persons out there, we need to be more vigilant in terms of how we look out for each other's children. It's not about, gone are the days when they said a village shall raise a child. That is no more, because people just don't care, because the fear, and I can understand, because as parents, we don't want anybody to speak to our children, right? We believe that if you not talk to them, nobody should, and that's not fair. We should be able to see a young girl or a young boy and say, look, this is what is happening. You guys can be friends, but just wait. But if we're being honest about these sex talk, they would have to go try it. And so some of these young ladies were raped. So they were already exposed to the whole trauma. And you can't turn it back. Myself, I am a survivor, right, of rape, childhood rape. And so when these things happen, you tend to still want to explore because you're already exposed to these things.
But stick up in, Rushell, because I didn't even know that. And
yes.
You hadn't even briefed me from before, but now that I know that, did that happen before you?
That happened before.
What age were you? Age 9. Oh my gosh. Oh my, I'm so sorry.
That's fine.
So but even that, Rushell, because you were exposed to that and somebody violated you in such a way, even that was also an impact and also a consequence of, of I didn't even know that.
Mm-hmm. There's a whole heap, So we need to ask questions, sit a child down, speak with them, just open up, just be honest. It's all about honesty.
Yeah.
All about honesty. When you see somebody going down that path, we should be able to say, look, come, let me sit down, because I was once there and I can share with you why I said do not.
Yes.
Because we latch on to our experiences and say, look, I can't go about in business because I did do it and I'm all right. It shouldn't be that case.
Girl, you are spitting facts. That is indeed true. That is indeed so true. You obviously are in a much better place now mentally and everything like that. Yeah. But what I wanted to find out from you in terms of the healing process, how are you able to heal from those wounds? The rape, the getting pregnant, the rape at 9, the getting pregnant at 14, not having the love and and support. Just how did you actually were able to heal from that?
So for the rape, it wasn't a one instance, right? It was recurrent. However,
and how old was the perpetrator?
He was an adult, about 30 something. It was my
oh my god,
about 30 something. Yeah.
Oh my god. I am so sorry, Rushell. Wow, like. But that person went to jail, right?
No. So for that story, it was reported. The police went to his house. His parents had sent him to country. So the search, we went in search for him at the country that he was supposed to be at, but then I didn't remember the part very clear, and so that was just the end. So the case opened and the case closed because there wasn't any more follow-up done after that. And it's like that picture is still very fresh in my mind because I remember the day when We drive, we go. The police lady was nice, and you know, she was understandable. To this day, I haven't met her again, but there was nobody ever did a follow up. But after a couple of years, he died. So
he died.
Yeah. So human, the creator will work that out.
Yeah, God.
But in terms of healing, most of my healing took place as an adult and still taking place.
I can imagine it still taking place. Continue.
Yes. It's not something where you just cover up and just go and live your life. That's not the case, especially the trauma that you live with. It's a permanent scar you live with of being sexually abused. Because, especially having children, it sends you into a whole heap of trauma. I remember when my daughter was approaching 9, and I had to call our executive director, Auntie Joy Crawford.
Yes.
And I said, Auntie, I don't know how to do it. And I had to go into therapy instantly, and I had to start working on how I'm going to process it. Auntie Margie at the time was my counselor, and she said, all right, Rushell, this is how we're going to tackle it. And so it's for you being honest about how you're feeling and knowing that you want help and seeking the help. And so for me at E for Life, help is always available. So whether I'm not in dialogue with my counselor, I'm in a dialogue with somebody on the team to say, this is what is happening to me, and I need your support. And the support is always there. So what therapy looks like, or healing looks like, it's writing. I remember I was doing a documentary, something of the sort, and everybody finished theirs on the same day, and I was struggling because I can tell you that hey, this is what happened to me at the tip of my tongue, but I couldn't write it. I struggled to write what I went through. And I went into therapy again and said, look, and writing it, I realized that when I wrote, it did a lot to me differently than when I speak about it. And so that for me, sometimes when I feel away, I'll go and just write something. I may not share it with the person, but I'll just write how I'm feeling. And I'll feel a sense of relief. I have sisters as well in terms of within the organization who I can pour out to as to what I'm experiencing. So we do, as I spoke about the mentorship, we have mentors, we have survivor mentors on board, we have the counselors. I have a host. I am very blessed. I look at myself as a very blessed person because I have a whole heap of people who I can just pour out to. Before I came on my second mother, there's a lady who she and my mother, they were very close friends. And she had me under her wings. So anytime I have an issue, she was just cursing me that I don't text her, right? So I would normally touch base with her and say, look, this is what is happening. If I'm having an issue, I call her. If I'm not having an issue, if I'm happy, I call her. And so that's a relationship we have. And when I call her, like just speaking about my issue, I just feel all right. I just feel relieved. And I just get that inspiration and say, boy, those type of vibes. So I'm very blessed. In terms of the relationship struggles, it's very hard. It's very hard. And as I go back to knowing what I want in life, that is what kept me. That is what kept me going. Because I didn't want to make the same mistakes that my mother did. And so it was going through therapy that showed me that, hey, you're beating up yourself too much.
Yes.
For not wanting to make the same mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. And the counselor went through that with me because I was so tight that I didn't want to make the same mistake as my mother. So everything I did, it shouldn't represent nothing about her. Mm-hmm. But I'm at a space now that I forgive my mother. So I can heal and I can move on, because healing is not about you. It's not about the person, but it's about forgiving the person for yourself.
Yes.
Right? Forgiveness is for you. Because when you forgive, it gives you a sense of relief and gives you a sense of closure that you can move on. Right? And so that's what I keep on doing.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's forgiving and that you can move on to another hurdle. And when you reach to that hurdle and say, what's the thing that made me stuck here? And said, all right, let me move you out of the way. I'm going to forgive you too. I don't have to call your phone and say, Tamara, you did something and I forgive you. You may never have to speak again, but I forgave you.
Yes.
And that is where it is, because I am moving on to higher heights to do greater things.
Girl, you indeed are moving on to higher heights and greater things. I mean, I am like, it's not usually that you find me speechless, but I am speechless.
Yes.
But at the same time, I just want to, continue to encourage you. You are such a positive example of persevering and pushing forward, even amidst trauma and abuse and hurt and pain and rejection. And I just want to encourage you to just continue your healing, continue positively impacting the many lives, the other young women that you are also now pouring into as a mentor, as a coach. And we have to pick up the TrailBlazer organization, E for Life.
Yes.
You mentioned Miss Joy Crawford. She was the one who recommended, when I reached out to her and she said, Rushell is a great person to interview. And I really love the work of the organization. And I'm so flabbergasted by your story, Rushell. And I know even in sharing, that's also part of your healing process. So thank you so much for sharing your story on the TrailBlazers, and just continue doing the amazing things that you're doing. And we definitely, if anyone wants to support E for Life, I will put their contact details in the description box, and so you can reach out to them and help to support other young women and persons like Rushell who too have survived immense trauma but are on the path to healing. Thank you so much, Rushell. You are a star.
Thank you. That's my nickname, Star. For my
really?
Story.
Really?
Yes, it is.
Well, it's confirmation. It's confirmation. Yes. It's confirmation. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. You're most welcome.
Hey everyone, I am Tamara McHale, television presenter, producer, and communication specialist, as well as producer and host of the TrailBlazers series. I'm inviting you to join the family. All you have to do is just click that notification bell right below. Make sure you click the subscribe button so that you are alerted as to when we have new episodes, and join the TrailBlazers family for weekly inspirational and edifying episodes that not only will lift your spirits, but give you the keys and the tools that you need so that you can continue to blaze your trail.